and he's going to have it. He does. Rickey Henderson.
He is fully back.
Rickey Henderson is truly a one-of-a-kind person. Rickey Henderson was a once-in-a-generation performer. And Rickey Henderson's impact on the game of baseball over 25 years is immeasurable.
He's probably the greatest ball player that I've seen in modern-day baseball time, without a doubt.
I mean, a guy that literally could change, the outcome of a game almost solely, almost by himself.
I never saw anybody really come close in the totality of what Rickey could do as a runner, as a power hitter, and also as a guy, as just a presence in the batter's box.
I think in Rickey's case, you can look at, he was the best during that period of time that he played. There's nobody better.
I don't think that there is any one player in my period of time that can totally dominate a game by himself like Rickey could in so many different ways.
God put Rickey on this earth to play baseball and to show us a way to play this game that was very exciting.
There were just so many things that he could do that it just completely scared the living daylights out of the opposing team.
I think he just changed the game by being unique in the sense that for a little guy, he probably had the greatest combination of speed and power. He probably needed less help than anybody else to do his job.
You have a one-run lead, it's the ninth inning. Who's the guy that you'd least like to face? It's Rickey. He had all kind of ways to score a run, not going to run, whatever. So, and he did it year after year, the longevity, everything, just the total package.
The dimension he had of being a 5-tool player, he could do it all. And there's no question with his speed that he could get on base and everything changed.
He is the most dominant player I've ever seen play the game of baseball. So when you say, what is it like to see him play? It's the same way every day. I mean, really, if I'm not pitching, it makes it fun to be a spectator on the bench.
His quarter-century career led to a laundry list of achievements and milestones. The unquestioned greatest leadoff hitter of all time is also the game's stolen base king. Henderson is the record holder for both runs scored and home runs to lead off a game. His skill set made him nearly impossible to stop on the diamond.
He had the speed, he had the power, he had the patience. When Rickey walked into the batter's box, it's like the opposing team was already on its heels.
He could win a game, like leading off a game with a home run, or hitting one late, getting on base via the walk, steal second, steal third, and score on a ground ball.
I think Rickey, his level of intensity, the will to win, and the will to be the best was what he brought to the ballpark every day, and it was contagious.
When it comes to talking about leadoff hitters, Rickey was the best ever. When it comes to guys stealing bases, Rickey was the best ever. When it comes to left fielders, in the American League, Rickey was the best ever.
He led baseball in Larson. I mean, he would get on base without a hit and score a run without a hit.
How many home runs did the 2 or 3 hitter get because the pitcher was focusing on Rickey not stealing second or stealing third, that the pitcher didn't concentrate on making a quality pitch, and the guy ends up hitting it out of the ballpark?
And then he had, a real burglar type mentality. I mean, he's out there to abuse you on the bases.
And when he got on base, the action really got started.
He was scary because he would dance off that bag and the pitchers would become discombobulated. I mean, you could just see some of them just self-destruct. The idea was don't let him get on base. But when he got on base, some pitchers would just absolutely melt.
As the old saying goes, speed never goes into a swamp, and Rickey had the speed.
Rickey would invent runs, and I don't know how. He had so many different ways of doing it.
This was a person that could generate a run without even a hit. I mean, 3 hitters could go up, and no one could hit the ball out of the infield, and you could be up 1-0.
And whether it was a 10 to 15-year period of time, he was the best. There's no doubt. And I think he'll go down as the all-time best, whether it's a left fielder, offense, but no doubt the stolen base threat that he was and the success rate that he had and how he could change the game just by getting on base.
You appreciated what he did, and you feared what he did if you're on the opposing team.
Rickey Henderson's athletic career started at Oakland Technical High School, but his future did not appear to be in baseball. He seemed destined to be a star on the football field.
I thought in football, I thought that he was a very, very, very superior athlete in football, without a doubt.
Prior to coming to high school, I'd coached in a junior college. And he was equal to or even better than some of the athletes I coached in the community college. So it was, you saw raw talent.
He was at Oakland Tech, and what I remember about Rickey, the football player, is that he was a guy who was running for 1,000 yards in high school.
I saw Rickey as a 10th grader, and he was on a junior varsity football. And when I saw him run, I said, wait a minute, and I wanted him on varsity. I went down to the junior varsity coach and I said, look, I want that, that running back that you have. He said, who, Rickey? I said, yeah.
I thought, if I graded him football, baseball, I thought that Rickey probably would have been a good pro running back.
The one unique thing about Rickey is that I've never seen him compete against any other individual. Rickey competed against himself.
I actually heard about him, about his football prowess. And they told me there was a kid across the bay that was like Walter Payton. So we went over to see him one night, and he ran 6 touchdowns. And it was the most incredible thing I had ever seen.
I didn't want to play baseball. I played basketball because of the cheerleader. Baseball, wasn't nobody coming out to see us playing, so why do you want to go out and play baseball and you can be doing something else?
The lady that kind of was instrumental was a lady who's now passed away, was Tommy Wilkerson. And she was somewhat like a godmother to him.
She wanted to see the kids to come and play the game, the sport that she loved so much. So she came to me and asked me to play baseball, and I told her I didn't really want to play baseball. So she said, I'll make a deal for you. She said, I'll give you a quarter for every hit, for every stolen base you get, and for every runs you come across the plate. And you can have your lunch money. That sounds like a good deal to me. I don't have to go to work. I'm working as a baseball player.
I didn't know exactly, but I heard about it. And I heard her. And she'd advertise, yeah, you get a stolen base, I'll give you a quarter, Rickey.
So she got me into stealing a base. Because every time I got a hit, I know it was a quarter, but I needed to make about $4.50 to take a young lady for lunch. So I had to go get 4 or 5 hits, steal 3 or 4 bases just to make lunch money. So each and every day I would make sure that I get on base, I steal a base, and I try to get as many hits. So that's what got me going.
When Rickey showed up for an all-star team that was combined with a Berkeley team and North Oakland team, and I first laid eyes on him, it was like, man, I'd never been in awe of a guy in my life until I saw Rickey Henderson.
And I always told him to steal as many bases as he could. And I said, steal third base all the time, because in high school, pitchers don't have a good pickoff move to second, and they may throw it to third base and be left field, we got to run. And so we used that strategy quite a bit. He liked to run those bases.
At a young age, when I first met him, obviously his physical attributes were different than everyone else. Big legs, strong, looked like a man. I mean, even though he had a boy face, he still looked like a man.
Yeah, I said, just go, Rickey. And certain times I would say don't steal. It wasn't an appropriate situation, but most of the time he could do it on his own. He had the green light, so to say.
Jimmy Gwynn, who I've known since we were in college together a long time ago, went to scout Rickey Henderson along with other scouts.
I think he saw the dedication, the heart, the way I went approach the game, and he felt that I wanted to win all the time.
The first 2 at-bats, he didn't do anything, the other scouts left. His third at-bat, Rickey Henderson must have hit one 450 feet. I mean, it was just eye-popping. Jimmy told me the story, so he signed him.
And it wasn't for Gwen, I wouldn't have been a baseball player, because I don't think they would even give me the chance. But he felt that I would be a fantastic, great baseball player, and it turned out that he was right.
Rickey was right for the A's in the 4th round of the 1976 amateur draft. Being selected by his hometown team was a dream come true for the Oakland native.
Oh, I was thrilled. I was happy that I was going to be home. I got a chance to play in front of my mom. I got a chance to play with my family. All the people that grew up that saw me play as a little kid in Little League, Pony League, and all that.
By the time Rickey got to AAA baseball, which we faced each other in AAA, we faced each other in the minor leagues, and by the time he got to AAA, I knew he was going to be an impact player in the big leagues.
Rickey's always been a humble kid, and that's what I noticed about him at first.
Rickey Henderson will lead it off for the Oakland A's, making his first appearance at the plate in an Oakland uniform.
You know, always receptive to advice, and just the joy of playing Major League Baseball. That was like none other had. You know, he really loved playing baseball, so it was just a treasure to be around somebody like that, and it was kind of, it rubbed off on you.
At that particular point in time, we all just wanted to go out, watch him play left field, see what he did, how he hit, you know, how he would get his lead, how he would steal bases. You know, some of us even tried to run like Rickey, but we couldn't do that.
This guy who really not only could run and hit, but had a flair about him. You know, and I think that's what fans really, the minute he stepped on the field, his first year, he was a fan favorite. And he remained that throughout the course of his career because, A, he acknowledged fans, but B, he put on a show.
Rickey Henderson's indelible imprint on the sport comes from his domination of the base paths. His running style was something he crafted from high school into the minors, and finally in Oakland.
A lot of players can only dream to be half as fast as he was, but you know, you think about the thick, strong legs that he has, and the thing that was amazing was how fast he could go from 0 to 100. You know, 0 to full speed is like a stride and a half for him, and he's gone.
The thing about Rickey too, his first step, he's full speed. A lot of guys may take a couple of steps before they get going. He got the lead, such strong legs, and when he took off in that sprinter speed, he was full speed.
When his first step left the ground, you could see the explosiveness and the acceleration, and you could see it. The dirt would come up about 2 to 3 feet in the air.
Everybody in the ballpark knows what he's about to do, and they still couldn't stop him. So that was incredible.
When he got on base, you always felt that he was going to steal, whether it was first to second, second to third.
When you get to the pro level, in baseball, you have that kind of speed, the ability. Rickey had the ability to do a lot of things that are pretty special.
For Rickey, it was, how do I go about it? How can we stop him? We can't stop him. What do we do?
You know, the scouting report was very simple with Rickey: keep him off the base. But, I mean, it was a lot easier said than done.
Top of the scouting report had to have Rickey's name because once he got on base, the entire defensive dynamic changed.
He literally made pitchers and catchers nervous wrecks.
Well, immediately you think you don't want to walk him. And as soon as you think don't walk him, you walk him. As soon as you walk him, and you're throwing over to first base 6, 7, 8 times.
I constantly got to remind the pitcher, be quick, try to slide step. Your bench is trying to pick Rickey up. Is he going to steal? Is he not? I mean, he just causes havoc, you know, on the base pass. He creates distractions for the pitcher.
So how do you defend that? Pitcher's got to get closer to the plate. He's got to look back. You just can't do anything routine. And your infielder has to take that bag away, which leaves a big hole. So when he made you so vulnerable, it was scary.
The whole game changed. To whereas when he got on first base, they called it a Rickey run when he scored, and it was very easily done. He would steal second, he could steal third, and Dwayne Murphy was our second hitter, so he could either sacrifice bunting or a sacrifice fly, and within 2 batters we would have a run sometime.
Now, when he got to first base, he understood that All I need to understand is when the guy's going home. Anything else, he's probably coming to first. So once he understood that and the guy went home, he could steal a base on anybody.
It's not uncommon to see him steal 2 bases in one at bat, or in one sequence of being on the base, steal second, steal third.
The Man of Steel patented the head-first slide during his career. The slide was violent, yet beautiful, and allowed him to increase his success rate.
In Double-A, I saw him trying at it. First time he tried it, he cut his stomach open with his belt buckle on his uniform and slit his stomach belly button open. So, you know, he came right back after he got well and tried it again.
Sliding head first takes a lot of pounding on the body. It gives you a lot of injuries that are unforeseen, such as jam fingers, jam wrists, jam elbows, jam shoulders.
You look at the way he slid head first, try sliding, being successful 130 times, and see how your chest feels. When you're diving and you're landing on your chest, the way he did with the stolen bases.
But the thing about Rickey is that he was so gifted physically, you know, solid, just solid rock muscle. And he had a great chest.
I don't know if I ever saw anybody with more bumps and lumps and bruises on their body. So I look at it and say, this guy abused his body on the baseball field. While others are saying, he needs to be a little tougher. He wants to sit out every now and then. Well, I think he needed to sit out every now and then because he put so much into it.
If Rickey didn't feel like he could play up to his ability and his legs, his jets, what he called them, if he couldn't turn on the jets, he wasn't going to go out there and give you a 70% effort on the field. And that's just how Rickey was. He didn't know how to back down for the most part. So if Rickey said his legs was bothering him, I would be one to believe that Rickey's legs was bothering him, because I know what he wanted to do. He wanted to play every day.
You know, the great hitters you worry about, you fear those guys, but with Rickey there's the other dimension, because he could get on base and beat you with his legs. He could get on base a lot because of his strike zone.
His ability to beat you and you not to be able to stop him. Speed is something that's so hard to defend, because if you have it, you have it. It can't be taught.
He's just a distraction. In itself, he is a distraction. He's a guy that you really just, you know, on the hottest day in Arkansas with the humidity at its best, he's a nest of mosquitoes is what he is.
Most of Rickey Henderson's success spawned from his natural ability, but he connected with a major influence in the big leagues in just his second season in the form of legendary manager Billy Martin.
I was mostly scared of Billy. You know, the way he roar at people, the way he go about at the umpire. I was mainly a little afraid. So I just wanted to play. I didn't want him to make no mistake. I just want to play. Run, do whatever he say do. I wanted to follow the way he wanted.
Billy had a thing for local guys. If you grew up around here, because he did, I mean, he could sort of identify with some of the things you faced as a kid growing up.
He invited me to go hunting. He invited me to go fishing. He invited me to, you know, anytime we going on a long trip, he in first class, he always cater. So he might be up there cater. We got the airplane food. He'll call back, send Rickey up here and ask me, what would you like? And my team is mad at him. Because Rickey ain't sitting there. I was like, man, listen, man. What can I say? He's something, but I can't tell him to do that. So he was like that to me.
Well, it was the rebirth of baseball in Oakland. Billy Martin came here, and there was a whole bunch of new players that came to the A's in the early 80s, late 70s, and Rickey was one of them. And Billy knew how to use him, you know. Basically, turn on the green light and let him go. And Rickey had kind of a free rein to go when he wanted to go.
Well, I think what Billy did is Billy gave him the green light, let him run. And anytime you have speed like that, there's no manager is going to shut him down and say, this is not our type of club.
One thing about Billy, he was a smart man, and he knew not to try to change anything that Rickey was doing. See, Billy Ball was manufacturing the element of surprise. There was no surprise or any secrets about what Rickey was going to do.
Rickey was very inventive. I mean, that's the whole nature of his being. And so he just kind of turned them loose. And gosh, how they got to the playoffs that season, I don't even know. But I still think, besides the pitching, Rickey was the main reason.
We faced him in the playoffs in '81 for the pennant, and we knew what he could do then. And you know, Billy had him really confident and loose, and very aggressive players on that ball club, and they were running everywhere. And Rickey was the epitome of all that.
The other part of it is that from Rickey's end, I think he saw Billy as a guy who appreciated what he did. And, you know, if there was one thing that Rickey wanted for his entire career, appreciation.
Rickey was one of the ones that could go, Billy, you tripping. You know, no one else could say that, but Rickey could do that because Billy knew what Rickey meant to the team. And he respected Rickey for that. And because Rickey wasn't scared, because Rickey didn't think anybody should stop Rickey.
As personalities go, they both could be a little prickly, you know. But at the same time, they understood each other, they respected each other, and they were able to get along.
The 1982 season was a magical year for Rickey and the Billy Ball style. It was a season that placed Henderson in the record books for the first time with an amazing 130 steals in 1 year.
I didn't know what the number would be, but I knew he could set the all-time record. It was there before. You could see that he was unstoppable.
I was running, and we was having a great time, and Oakland was all Billy Ball. So we was excitement fan. So when 82 came around, we went to spring training. He came over to me, and I thought we were just going to say something, just talking, and we got to talking a little bit, and he said, guess what? This is what we going to do this year. What we going to do this year? He said, we're going to break the all-time record. That's 118. That's a lot of run. That's a lot of stone. How are we going to do that? And I'm thinking, oh, I can't do that. I can't do it. He said, we going to break the record. With me reading the picture and you getting the great job, they can't beat us. Okay.
Each day, you just couldn't wait to get to the ballpark to see what he was going to do. How many was he going to get this day? Was he going to get 2 today? Was he going to get 3 today? What are they going to try to do to stop him today? You know, what kind of plays are they going to try?
It seemed like Rickey was trying to steal a base every time he got on. I mean, you know, in the past there were times when he would get on base and he didn't. But that year, it seemed like he was going for the record. He was going to run every chance he got.
Went on through spring training week. I'm practicing on me stealing 100 bases. He came, and during spring training, he goes, when you get on first base, look at me. And I'm going to tell you when to steal. I said, oh, you ain't got to tell me when to steal. I know when to steal. He said, no, I'm going to tell you when to steal because I know when the pitcher is going to throw a breaking ball. So you can get a better jump on that, and then breaking ball, they can't throw you out. Oh, good. Because I'm reading on the emotion on what he's doing. I didn't know what he's going to throw.
What I recall most from that year was that he kind of taunted teams. I mean, teams knew that he was going to try and steal. They knew it. Everybody knew it. And he was able to do it anyway.
And I can be on first base jogging with the first baseman, and he'll pick at something and, oh, I got him, so I'm going on that pitch. I don't care if I get a bad jump. And I was probably like 85% safe all the time. So that record that we broke, not with just me, it was me and Billy. Because I might have wouldn't have done it without him.
Henderson takes another step, and there he goes. It's a pitch out. The throw by Simmons. Number 119. He's over the hump.
When you know that everybody in the ballpark knows what you're trying to do, and the other team knows exactly what you want to do, and they can't stop you. I mean, that's as good as it gets for any athlete, whether you're baseball, any sport you're playing. If you know you can't be stopped, that's as good as it gets. And that's what I remember from 82. It seemed like he couldn't be stopped as a base speed.
The 1984 season ended with the A's in 4th place. In an attempt to improve the club, Oakland did the unthinkable and traded Rickey to the Yankees. The trade from New York's end was driven by none other than Billy Martin.
He went back to the Yankees. He went to George to tell George, trade for Rickey. So he called me. He said, you belong a Yankee. You are a great ball player, and the Yankees are the greatest team ever, and you deserve to be a Yankee.
Couldn't believe it, and I was very critical of the A's in a column that I wrote at the time, because I knew he was special.
I think it was pretty devastating to him. But at the same time, that team wasn't what it was either, and it was time for Rickey to move on. And I think the Yankees at that time had that place where he needed to be.
It's unfortunate that if you have a team that's struggling to win games, what do? You look for the player who can get the most for you from another team.
I think the A's were trying to maybe, create a little bit of a different persona at that time. And also, he was a high maintenance guy. And I think they were looking for something that's a little lower maintenance. And the third component is that he had great value, And so when you trade a guy who has great value, you're looking to get something in return.
From his standpoint, going on the big stage, the biggest stage in baseball in New York, and do what he did, it was perfect for him. And I'm sure he adapted very well to be able to go to New York and continue to do what he was doing in Oakland and getting a lot more attention.
You could trade Rickey Henderson for 10 players and not get one Rickey Henderson combined. You couldn't take those 10 players and get the impact of one Rickey Henderson.
So now me and Billy clicked it again. And he said, I know you belong to the Yankee. You are a natural for a Yankee. And then that's how we carry on to being a Yankee. And then it made it a lot easier for me to do that transfer from being not being home.
Rickey Henderson was already cemented as a great player before the trade to the Yankees. New York was the platform that gave him the recognition as an icon.
The Yankees, George Steinbrenner was always in the paper, always identified. Wherever you go, everybody knows the Yankees. So it boosts you up, and now they know you. Now you become bigger. Now, I was having some fantastic years over there. Me and Don Manley, we was having some big years. So we was the Bronx Bomber force name-wise. People recognize you years ago. I think that's what boosting the Yankees does for you.
I think going to New York was great for Rickey because it really kind of opened up avenues that may have ever been open for him here. As a Yankee, you got everything before you. You're the Big Apple, Yankee Stadium. The world is watching you. So I think that kind of stage really set Rickey up for the rest of his career because from that point on, he wasn't just Rickey Henderson. He was Rickey.
A lot of stuff with Rickey's just water off his back. He just keeps going. He's the Energizer Bunny. He just keeps ticking along, and no matter what happens to him, he never seems to change.
Once he settled in New York and started playing ball, it was, every time he got on base, the fans just went nuts, as you can imagine, and put a lot of pressure on the opposing team and managers. He was tough to deal with, and I've heard him say Manley's the best player he's ever played with. I bet Donnie says Rickey's the best player he's ever played with. And for those two guys to compliment each other like that, what can I say?
After 4 fruitless years in New York, Henderson was traded back to Oakland during the 1989 season. The reunion with the defending American League champions solidified their World Series aspirations.
It was a joyful day that day that I was getting traded and I was going back to Oakland. George was going, I think he was going to Europe or somewhere. He told Sid, when I get back into town, you have me some pictures, because that's what we needed to win, or I'm going to fire you. Just like that. George will be home in 3 days. Rickey, I got a deal for you. What you mean? I really got to know trade. What's the deal is? It's got to be good for me. What's the deal? You're going to go to San Francisco Giants, play right field and bat field. You have lost your mind. I'm not going nowhere. So I'm going to stay in the Yankees. Day go by, next day, ding, 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 ding. Rickey, I got another deal. What's the deal? I got 5 players traded, and you going back to Oakland. Do you want to make the deal? Don't worry about it, I'm going home.
It was '89, and we were looking for a true leadoff hitter.
I can remember the buzz amongst the players when it was talked about, hey, if we get a chance to get Rickey, what do you guys think?
One thing for sure, it's always better to have him on your team than to be playing against him. That's for darn sure.
The time that he joined our ball club, the point of the season, was just a huge, huge shot in the arm.
I've never won the lottery, but I'm sure it was like that.
You take a team that is a good team to a great team to we got to automatically be favorites to win.
The guy that made that thing complete was Rickey, because you had that dynamite leadoff guy, and then the rest of the lineup was so deep and could do it all. But Rickey set the tempo in a lot of big games.
When Rickey Henderson came back to the A's clubhouse, I wasn't there, but probably the rest of the team just got on their knees and kissed the clubhouse floor. I mean, how do you lose Rickey Henderson and then get him back? That doesn't happen.
The 1989 postseason was the gateway to glory for Rickey Henderson. His outstanding playoff performance in both the American League Championship Series and the World Series catapulted his league-wide standing.
As a player, your goal and your joy of all of it is getting to the postseason. That's what we go out there and work 162 days to get to the postseason. Nothing else doesn't matter.
I don't know if I ever saw a postseason where one guy just kind of captivated me. I'm riveted to this one guy doing what he does.
There's always one guy when you get ready for the playoffs that they say, don't let that guy beat you. Rickey was that guy with the A's.
He just went crazy. It was, there are no words.
Now we got Toronto. Whew, this is a great club, you know. I play real well against them. We come home, boom, I'm still basic crazy. I go to Toronto, they on the artificial turf. Artificial turf to me is an easy way to steal bases. You gonna get all your traction. You ain't gonna slip and done in that grass or dirt. So I knew I had 4, 5, 6 bases on them no matter what. So it was in my hand, and then it started coming and everything ticked. I'm running, still and scoring run.
The playoffs, against Toronto was, I think, well, at least in my mind, maybe one of his greatest moments that I got to witness.
We played the Blue Jays and we just destroyed them. And that was definitely the Rickey show.
There's a period of time when might be 2 years, might be 2 weeks, where someone is so dominant, it just takes your breath away. Rickey in Toronto, that was like a one-man show.
He was very much a clutch guy. And I think the reason he carried over was his whole career. He was a marked guy. So he had to deal with the attention, the pressure of performing, and he had to be able to do it with everybody trying to stop him.
And then you get into the World Series, and you're watching pretty much the Rickey show again. You'd have to be there. It's the best way to put it. You really have to be there.
This is Rickey showing everybody all he can do. This is really, if you just take that postseason and say, okay, I want you to lead this team to a championship. He did it.
Rickey has a lot of pride, so that meant an awful lot to him. And, Oakland is always going to be home with Rickey, and his roots are here, his family is here, and he's got an awful lot of friends here. And on top of that, there's an awful lot of Rickey Henderson fans here. So he took a lot of care and a lot of pride in that, having that World Series ring.
We ended up winning today, and it was just a thrill. It was a dream come true. If I ever was playing any other sport, or if I wanted something to happen in baseball, it happened this year.
After achieving the greatest team honor in 1989, Henderson followed up by earning the highest individual honor in 1990 by winning the American League Most Valuable Player Award.
Once I got through the World Series and this and everything had taken, to me, it brought a new life to me. Now my goal was to get better. I think I might have went on a training spree that I wanted to be better than I was the year before. Now I'm just coming back to Oakland, and this is back at home. I'm at home. I saw what it was like in the glory of the World Series and what my dream was too. Now it's just me. I got to go out and play the game that I love so much. So I worked at it. I ran. I trained real hard.
I think all it was for him was taking 1 year, win a World Championship, and next year just continue. And as it turned out, he had a phenomenal year again.
I felt that he was trying to prove something that he thought he had already proved. He thought he had already proved that he was probably the best ball player in the game. And I think in 90, he set out to do exactly that. I think that was his goal.
I don't even think a ball player can express the time that they're in a groove that nothing can go wrong. What the feeling is all about. It was incredible. And like I said, it's carried on so much. I was dominating and ended up winning MVP. But I had almost a better slugging percentage than the home run hitters had. I think the only one that had one better than me was Cecil Field, and he hit 50 home runs. You know, and I almost hit 30. But I had slugging percentage was unreal. And it carried on and on into the playoffs. It just was one of them seasons that started from the beginning and ended at the end with nothing going wrong.
And you can appreciate when you go a series against him and then you're happy that it's over. You get to see him every day. You see everything the guy does. 9 innings a game, 3 games a series, 2 series a week. If you're trying to win, you make an impression.
All year long, Rickey is just laying it out there. He's just in that type of groove the whole year. And you're waiting for him to slow up. He was in that type of groove all year.
I just think it silenced some of the doubters. I think some of the people who previously had wondered how, whether this guy was really a dedicated ball player and, he's a little soft and like. I think that after he did that, I'd like to think that people said, okay, he's okay. He's not such a bad ball player.
There was a consistency about Rickey that year, very consistent, and he found a lot more ways to beat you more often. And that's usually what makes an MVP. How many big games do you have in the course of a season? And that was, that was Rickey's golden year.
As the 1991 season dawned, the man of steel was on the edge of setting the career stolen base record. On May 1st, 1991, he would overtake Lou Brock in the record book with some controversy along the way.
Nothing was surprising to me. Nothing at all was surprising to what he could do. And so just his whole career. And to break the record, that was just a number. When it was going to happen. As it turned out, he was going to make sure it happened in Oakland.
It was as inevitable as the sun rising in the east. It was going to happen. It belonged to Rickey. Nobody deserved it more. Just let him do it.
He's going. Here comes the throw. He's got
it. Lou Brock was a symbol of great base stealing. But today, I am the greatest of all time. Thank you.
I probably got a lot more negative, more grief about it because I said that I was the greatest. I think people took it out of context based on I was the greatest. Maybe I didn't phrase it that I was the greatest base stealer. So the greatest, oh, wait a minute. You can be the greatest player. And then come ask me, would you take that back? No. I'm the greatest base stealer. Luke was. I told you he was great. Said he was a symbol of it. He was the greatest ball. I broke his record. There's nobody in front of me. And my idol was Muhammad Ali. He had came back 2 or 3 times, won it, and he's, oh, I'm the greatest. I'm going to say that.
He spoke of Lou Brock, and, a lot of people could have misunderstood what was really meant by that particular speech. But if you know Rickey, there was nothing that was meant badly about that.
Say they're great is almost worst thing that could have happened to them in baseball. Because people seemed like it was really just mad about it. And they never let me live to die. And I'm thinking more that they should be focused on what I accomplished instead of being saying the greatest, or maybe I didn't phrase it right, but the greatest are better. Nobody else is better. And to this day, if you ask me that question again, I will ask you, who is the greatest then?
He didn't mean it in a way that I'm Rickey Henderson, I'm the greatest stolen base leader of all time. Today, I accomplished what I've been doing all my life. Rickey's been running.
It was something that somebody had gave me a gift of saying that I would be able to do it, and somebody that stayed with me for the time that he came to Oakland, to the time I broke the record, and my mom, everybody fed him to death. And you think I embarrassed Lou Brock? No, that was somebody that I looked up to, somebody that touched me. And you feel, and I asked him, was that bad? What I said was that? He said no.
I don't think it showed disrespect to Lou Brock. I think it was justified. He had done something great among a lot of great things that he did. The records that he set, the home runs that he hit, you know, the bases that he stole. I mean, if he says I am the greatest, maybe it's justified. How can you argue it?
I thought it was awful arrogant and cocky, but it was what he meant and it was the way he felt. And I keep trying to tell you, that's the way that man comes to the ballpark every day, and that's why he beats you.
My immediate thought after we stopped laughing, because we knew Rickey, I remember Willie Wilson and I standing in the dugout when he made the speech. He made that speech, we just started laughing, and we knew that it didn't come out like he wanted it to.
The bottom line is that this guy's played baseball for this many years. I mean, when he broke that record, he was still in his early 30s, and that was a career record. You just don't see career records broken when a guy's in his early 30s. And I remember thinking, you can't take that away from him.
That moment crystallized Rickey Henderson through his whole career. Often misunderstood, Rickey was known for his unique style of speech. That style took on a life of its own.
I mean, the Rickeyisms? Well, yeah, we call it the Rickey Do. Whatever's going on out there, you know, you say this the Rickey Do.
If Rickey did it and you say, why are you surprised? That's just Rickey being Rickey.
That's part of, his humor, to be honest. And I'm not too sure. As like Yogi Berra, I mean, Yogi Berra says a lot of funny things that end up in books. And Rickey could be similar.
We used to tease Rickey every once in a while. Guys would say to each other, hey, don't let him talk to the media. Don't give him a microphone because, he'd make little mistakes like that.
But he used to say and do things, man, that just would crack us up, Right up top of my head, it's hard to remember some of the things. But when I think about Rickey, all we did was laugh.
Rickey had his own speak. It wasn't anything. It was unique and funny in his way. It was neat. It's just a personality thing.
He was in his own world. And you knew, as a player, as an athlete, you talk to yourself, maybe not like Rickey did, but Rickey didn't have any problem. No, if that ain't a strike, what do you mean? Because Rickey don't take strikes like that. Now, I'm not going to tell you directly, but you figure it out.
And he talked to himself a little bit in the locker every once in a while before the game. I never could understand what he was saying. He wasn't talking real loud, but, he would talk to himself a little bit. And, again, after playing with him for a number of years, you just understand that's Rickey's personality and that's Rickey, and I love him for it.
Rickey's Rickey, and I know there's Rickeyisms, and he says some things, whatever, but to me, he was street smart and he was baseball smart. He was a genius of baseball.
You know what they say about genius? It's hard to understand genius. There's always an edge to genius.
Somebody walk away thinking, oh, he's just a great athlete, but he's not really as smart as baloney. Rickey abused you with his smarts.
Saying these things and people thinking, oh, well, Rickey, might not be the brightest bulb around here, and he might be doing that to thinking that the other team, potentially going to take advantage of him, pitching to him or something like that. And all of a sudden, Rickey goes deep, and I mean, you can just see that smile as he's rounding the base. It's like, hey, who's laughing now?
Rickey Henderson will always be intertwined with the city of Oakland. Everything about his life speaks to his roots in the Bay Area, and the tie that binds will never be cut.
I was from the Bay Area. I had a lot more fans than most athletes or players in that city because I was from Oakland. So the people from high school, people from all over Little League, wherever, they come out to see me play. And, I was at a thrill with it, and like I said, the fans just kept pushing me and backing me and this and that, and things go wrong, they was always behind me, so I tipped my hat out to them, and I couldn't have did it without them at all. I couldn't have did it without the fans that here, I couldn't have did it without my family that backed me back here, I couldn't have did it by myself, so I give them credit.
Anytime you hear Rickey Henderson's name, you're ready to go out to the ballpark, ready to go out to the Oakland Alameda Coliseum, watch him steal some bases.
He's from one of our underdeveloped areas in Oakland, and gee, I tell you, he's an American dream come true. Basically, he's a star in the ghetto, and wherever he goes in Oakland, he's recognized immensely, and people love him here.
When you come from where we come from, it's easy to forget the things that make you the individual that you are and give you the background to where the strength that was needed to become successful in this sport. Rickey's never forgotten 1 minute what he learned from, his background, from his youth, from his mom, growing up in this world.
This seemed to be his home, and he seemed to flourish here. He did well elsewhere, but this is where he flourished. Rickey Henderson belongs to Oakland, and Oakland belongs to Rickey Henderson.
He would do anything and everything he can or could to help other young players develop, especially in the city of Oakland, the way he did.
Well, that's how it was in our community. We looked for one guy to make it so that we could really piggyback on what he was doing. His success was key to us. If we saw success in him, then we knew we could do it.
He's been to the pinnacle of the sport, but he still remains humble. He remains humble because, he keeps the morals that keep the game pure.
A local kid, grew up here, played here, never really moved away from here in most ways, and represented the city well as a ball player and bought a ring here. So I think when people look at him around here, they see him as the greatest A's player probably ever.
It means everything that Rickey Henderson is the greatest Oakland Athletic, that he's from Oakland. I mean, it's like tying a ribbon around the whole Rickey Henderson story.
The city of Oakland loves Rickey Henderson, and Rickey Henderson is the city of Oakland.
His place in the annals of baseball is solidified with his induction into Cooperstown. His greatness and his legacy is unquestioned.
His lasting imprint would be his singularness, that he was one of a kind. Frank Robinson told me one time that a player like Willie Mays comes along once in a century. I think we could say the same thing about Rickey Henderson. Who else has ever been like Rickey Henderson?
There is no comparison. I mean, who do you compare him to? There's no comparison. Rickey was probably the greatest player to play this game.
I feel so fortunate to have watched Rickey Henderson play, because people always talk about him in the same terms they talk of Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, because he was able to accomplish things in this game that no one else will ever accomplish.
When you put the uniform on, you want to make sure that the performance that you put on brings people back to the ballpark the next day. Rickey is that kind of player.
Baseball's been around since the Cincinnati Red Stockings in 1869, and all that time, here's 150 years, he's the greatest leadoff hitter of all time.
Well, he'll be the all-time greatest leadoff hitter in baseball history, along with the stolen bases and the power. There's really nobody like it.
I think when people look back at how many games and how he was able to affect games so much, I don't see anybody out there that was able to do that like Rickey was.
Quite a thing to be able to say, or to have said about you, to say that you were the best during your period of time and nobody was better. Can't ask for more.
When you start talking about his greatness, he was great young, he was great in the middle, he was great when he was older.
Rickey was born to do this. And when you're born to do this, there's just no way that, the average guy can beat you. The guy who's working extra hard with less talent. Rickey was born with talent. Rickey was born with desire. Rickey was born with the ability to play this game.
His name is amongst the league leaders all time in a major sport. I mean, who would have thought it when we were kids?
The legacy that I want to, or when I lead the game, I want them to think of Rickey Henderson as a player that no matter what, he was a diehard to the game. He loved the game. He probably would do anything for the game. I want them to know that when I took the field, I gave 100, 110% out there. I hope most of them know that I had in my heart to always be a winner. Billy Martin said once to me, the The only you get to glory out of this game if you become a winner. And in my heart, I always felt that I was a winner, and I took the field to win every day.